Hello students, Mr. Nielsen here with the last two videos from the documents folders of May 8th to May 22nd. There may be a couple of videos and quizzes added to the mandatory folder, but Fort Sumter is the last read, the last document you need to read and questions you need to answer. And it has two documents, Fort Sumter Document A and questions, and Fort Sumter Document B and questions. Both are due, as all the others are, on Friday, May 22nd, so this Friday. And so this is the review video for Fort Sumter Document A and questions. Well, before we go over that, as we do on all document A's, before we go over document A, we're going to go over some notes. So, note number 1. After Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860, 11 states in the South decided they did not want to be part of the United States anymore. So, in 1860, the United States elected a new president. That president was Abraham Lincoln. When Abraham Lincoln was first elected president, he said he did not want to end slavery. However, Abraham Lincoln was extremely hated in the South. He was hated in the South more so than Donald Trump is hated in parts of the United States today, like way more even than a lot of people hate Donald Trump today. And so in the South, right, these 11 states hated Abraham Lincoln so much when he became president, they're like, man, this guy's so terrible, we can't even be part of the United States anymore. We have to leave the whole United States because Abraham Lincoln is president. And so that's what they did. They said, these 11 states said, we're no longer part of the United States. We're leaving the United States. Now, no one knows if they could actually do this. No one knows if this is illegal or, whether it's allowed. And so, that question is going to have to be answered. But they decided it was allowed, that it was legal, and that they were going to do it. So these 11 states in the South say, we're done, we're out, we're not part of the United States anymore. And we have a word for this. It's called seceding, right? It's to secede. We can also call it secession. It's all different forms of the same word, to secede. And they mean to officially leave a group. And so the group is the United States, and these 11 states that are part of the United States say we're going to secede from the United States, meaning they're going to leave the United States. So why did they do this? Why did they hate Abraham Lincoln so much? Why did they hate Abraham Lincoln more than Democrats hate Donald Trump today? And it was because they thought Abraham Lincoln was going to end slavery. They thought Abraham Lincoln was going to force the South to stop enslaving African Americans and make slavery illegal, like the North, states in the North already had. States in the North already ended slavery. They already made slavery illegal. They had already stopped enslaving African Americans. And Abraham Lincoln didn't like slavery. And so the South, these 11 states in the South, thought that Abraham Lincoln was going to make slavery illegal, and he was going to force the South to stop enslaving African Americans, and he was going to force the South to also make slavery illegal, just like the states in the North had already done. Now, Abraham Lincoln had said he was not going to do this. The Southern states just didn't believe him when he said that. Okay. So, moving on to some notes. Number 2. The South did not want to end slavery, and they did not want to stop enslaving African Americans, and so they left the United States and they started their whole own new country just to keep slavery. They started a whole country just to keep enslaving African Americans. And with that country, they also created their own army. They called their country the Confederate States of America, and they called their army the Confederate States Army. Note number 3. The South, the Confederate States of America, and the Confederate States Army, the South, attacked forts and military bases owned by the United States government because they wanted to force the United States Army to leave land that the Confederate States of America claimed that they owned. And so one of the states that left the United States, actually the very first state to leave the United States to secede, was South Carolina. And so South Carolina joined the Confederate States of America, this new country, and they had their own soldiers that joined the Confederate States Army, and they attacked United States forts and United States military bases in South Carolina because they wanted to get rid of the United States Army from land that they said was owned by South Carolina and the Confederate States of America. And what we're going to learn about today was one of those places called Fort Sumter. Fort Sumter was a fort on an island in just off, actually, the coast of South Carolina, in the city of Charleston, South Carolina. And it was owned, Fort Sumter was owned by the United States Army. And in April 1861, the Confederate States Army of the South attacked Fort Sumter. They shot cannons at it. And this was the first battle of the Civil War. Amazingly, no one died during the actual battle. The first soldier to die actually died after the battle in an accident when a cannon exploded and killed him. And so what we're going to look at today is this right here. How Fort Sumter was owned by the United States Army and how, in April 1861, it was attacked by the South, the Confederate States Army, and how this became the first battle of the Civil War. So now let's go to the document. Okay. For this, you're going to answer questions 1 through 3 before you read the document. Before you read the document. Okay. So question number 1. When was this article published? Should probably look for a date somewhere. I don't know if there's a date on here. You may have to search really hard to find that. I don't know. See if you can figure that out. Where was the article published? Again, might have to search pretty hard to find that. But I'm sure you guys can figure out where the article was published. And then lastly, how might where the article was published influence its content? Okay, so think about this. This is a war, right? And it says right there, the war commenced. And it's a war between the United States, right, which is the North, and the Confederate States, which is the South. And so Ohio is a state in the United States. It's a state in the North. So how might the fact that this is published in the North, how might that change the things it says? Is it going to be very neutral? Is it going to be more biased towards the North because it's published in the North? Is it going to be biased towards the South? How might the fact that this is published in the North affect its content? So after you answer these three questions here, you go ahead and read the article. So that's what we're going to do now. Document A, Fremont Journal. Extra, Saturday morning, April 13th, 1861. The war commenced. The war they're talking about, this is the Civil War. So, pick up from here. We are indebted to Mr. Brown, the gentlemanly telegraph operator at this place, for the following dispatches which were received last night up to 12 o'clock. So dispatches are news reports. By these dispatches, it will be seen that the treason which has so long been rife at Charleston has at last culminated in war. The rebels will now be treated in a different manner than they anticipated. They have brought down vengeance on their heads. The country waits with breathless anxiety to know the results of this attack. We believe the government is sufficient for the emergency. Without further remarks, we give the dispatches. So, pause and go for some vocabulary. It says, by these dispatches, it will be seen that the treason, so treason is going against your own government. So if a person in the United States like works with North Korea to try to like make the United States government, or hurt the United States government or hurt the United States Army, that's treason. It's going against your own government. And so it's saying that the South is engaging in treason, going against the United States government. Rife is undesirable, but something that happens a lot, like teen vaping is rife. Okay, there's a lot of teen vaping, but it's a bad thing, and so we can call it rife. Okay, and so treason, a bad thing, has been happening a lot. It's rife at Charleston. Remember, Charleston is in South Carolina. It's in the South in the Confederate States. And this is at last culminated. Culminated means to reach a decisive point, right? Hey, culmination, same word, right? So it has resulted in, culminated in war. The rebels are people of the South, will now be treated in a different manner than they anticipated. They had brought down vengeance, so revenge, punishment, and retaliation. So they had brought down revenge on their heads, right? And then it's basically just saying we wait for news here. Charleston, April 12th. The ball has opened. War is inaugurated. Inaugurated means begin. So war has begun. The batteries of Sullivan's Island, Morris Island, and other points were opened on Fort Sumter at 4 o'clock this morning. Fort Sumter has returned the fire, and a brisk cannonading has been kept up. Cannonading is heavy cannon or artillery fire. No information has been received from the seaboard yet. The military are under arms, and the whole of our population are on the streets, and every available space facing the harbor is filled with anxious spectators. The troops are pouring into the city by the thousands. Not a casualty has yet happened to any of the forces of the 19 batteries in position. Only 7 have opened fire on Fort Sumter. The remainder are held in reserve for the expected fleet. Source, Fremont Journal, Fremont, Ohio, April 13th, 1861. Okay, we'll move on to the questions. Okay. So, question number 4. How does the article describe the decision to attack and the troops firing on Fort Sumter? Okay. For this, I would look here for that. For question number 4, focus on this paragraph here. Question number 5, according to the article, how should the troops firing on Fort Sumter be treated? Okay. Once again, I will focus on this paragraph here. for question number 5. Question number 6. Does the newspaper seem to support the Union or the Confederacy? The Union is the North. The Confederacy is the South, the Confederate States of America. Cite specific words or passages from the article to support your answer. Okay. And once again, I think I'd focus my attention on that paragraph there to decide, is this in favor of the North, the Union, or the South, the Confederacy? And then lastly, well, for this you want to find actual evidence, words, specific words or passages, it's another word for sentences, from the article to support your answer. And lastly, review your answer to question 3. How accurate was your prediction? Explain. So, in 3, you predicted that something about, this article being published in the North, maybe it did affect what was said, maybe it did not affect what was said, but you made a prediction. For question number 7, tell me, was your prediction correct or were you incorrect in your prediction? And that's it for document A. I'll be back shortly with document B, Fort Sumter. Remember, this is due with all the others on Friday, May 22nd, this Friday by 11:59 p.m.